Welcome back to another episode of TaxSnax, where we're here with Laurelyn Wilson. And how about you tell the people a little bit about yourself first?
I am a professional accounting menace, which means I just spam post on social media, and people seem to like it, and I'm a little bit silly. I'll talk about accounting things, but by trade, I'm a CPA, and I own an accounting firm, and I specialize in small business tax and accounting. So that's primarily what I spend my time doing outside of trolling people on social media.
So aside from trolling, Laurelyn is the people's content queen.
Yes. And a nail connoisseur we learned today.
Oh, so much of a connoisseur. I'm like I am running my own nail shop out of my house at this point. I have everything you need for acrylics, gel press-ons. It doesn't matter. I have it.
Doesn't matter. She has it, people, but I already have an appointment, and so does Kaylee. So you're going to have to find a way around that. All right. Well, since you are what we would always call the content queen, we love you.
Oh, thank you.
But you're on TikTok, you're on the socials, and that's just what you do. So tell us the craziest thing that you have heard as a tax professional on social media.
It's really hard to narrow it down because every time I think something cannot get more dumb, it gets more dumb. The one that's kind of rising to the top right now, because I wrote on it recently in my newsletter, Mad Woman Media newsletter. Check it out.
Plug it.
madwomanmedia.co. If it looks like a violent website, there are 100% violent undertones.
Yes, it does.
Because I was mad when I created that website. But that's another story for another time. Okay, so there's this sovereign citizen movement. Have you heard of that? Do you know what that is?
I know what a sovereign citizen is, but...
No, but I've not heard of this one.
Yeah, so basically it's people thinking I am not a citizen of the U.S., but I live in the U.S., and therefore I'm a sovereign citizen and I don't have to pay taxes. Yeah. That's the whole premise of it. And so there's if you go to the IRS website, there's a whole page about how this is a scam. You can't just declare you're a sovereign citizen and not pay taxes. And it's been tried in court so many times. So there's a lot of court history of being this never wins in court. So there was this TikTok of this woman walking out on the street recording herself, and this had tens of thousands of likes on it. So this was a highly viewed, highly liked video, and her being so I wrote the IRS and I submitted, and I think it's called a Ben W8 or W8 Ben. So it's a form you fill out. So it's kind of similar to a W4 or W9, which are forms you fill out and give to either your employer or the company you're doing work with to let them know this is my information, report that to the IRS for how you're paying me, and then depending on that you report your taxes a certain way.
Right.
But it's something you give this middleman, and then based on that form they determine how they report that to the IRS. So this is a form for non-residents who are in the US to be hey, this income I'm making is not subject to tax because I'm not a resident. But again, you give it to your employer. So she took this form and she's explaining this this is what I did and it works. She fills out this form and mails it to the IRS, and along with a printout of Google Maps, being this is where I live, and I think she was in District of Columbia technically, and so she prints out a Google Maps being circling, this is where I live, and this is my W8 Ben or whatever it's called. I'm not subject to income tax. And then she goes, and I gave them 30 days to respond, which is adequate time. And since they didn't get back to me, it's legal. I don't have to pay taxes.
Do you get to just tell the government when they get to respond? When they have to respond, do you get to do that?
You don't get to just do that. There's no rule Red anywhere that the IRS has to respond within so many days. So where she got that from, but yeah. So then, you go to the comment section, and there's thousands of people being wait, so how do I do this? What do I do? What's that form called? Where do I find it?
Someone's roommate Paul told them that.
Yeah. So this is flagrant tax fraud. A lot of stuff I see is depending how it's interpreted, or they're just not giving enough information. It's like, oh, there's this tax deduction, but the video just doesn't tell you enough to know if you can actually take it. But they're legitimate tax deductions. Like, you can write off a G-Wagon. Yeah, you can in some situations. Or, oh, you can form an LLC and become an S-Corp and get these different rights. Yeah, in some situations you can. It was like everything she said was wrong. There was nothing right about it. Nothing right.
So what are the repercussions for her for not only like doing it in the first place, but then also like being so vocal about it?
Straight to jail. No.
Okay, well that's what I thought.
Straight to the slammer.
Don't pass go.
Well, it's like, as we know, the IRS is very backed up. Right. So I mean, it's gonna take a while for it to catch up. Eventually, depending on how she's getting paid and receiving income, like, so if she's a W-2 employee or she's getting a 1099, like, the IRS is going to pick up on that way quicker because they're getting these documents saying, hey, this person got this income, they should be paying taxes.
Right.
If she's completely self-employed and she's not getting any of those documents, she's going to fly under the radar a lot longer, unfortunately. But like, the repercussions obviously would be, like, when I say she'd go to jail, like, she probably wouldn't. She would just owe a bunch of fines and penalties and whatnot. And two, it's like the IRS will use your social media against you. Like, it's when you, like, printouts from your Facebook posts have been used. And there was actually recently, like, some big, like, OF creators were served with papers being like, hey, we want to look into some of this stuff because you're showing you're living this lifestyle, and what you're reporting on your taxes isn't matching that. So they're starting now to sniff around and ask more questions. Yeah.
Speaking of like OF, how do they go about, like, what can they consider to be like tax deductible or write-offs?
Yep, so the threshold is anything that's considered ordinary and necessary. So it has to be both of those. Okay. So for ordinary, a good thing to think of is if we went and asked 100 other OF creators, would they have this exact same expense?
Okay.
Yes, they do. Okay, this we can consider ordinary.
Okay.
And then necessary, I always think of this as, could I do my job without this?
Right.
And so if you could, then like, it might not be necessary. And so usually what I like to say is, like, can you also tie it directly to revenue?
Right.
Like, you're like, I spent money on this, and this is exactly how spending money on this made it revenue. And so it's just going to be so specific to your industry. Like, I know things like a very hot topic is like, can you write off clothes in your business? So for most people, that's going to be a no, because for it to be considered a write-off, like, it can't be suitable for everyday wear.
Right.
So people are like, oh, I'll just buy this blazer, but I only wear it at work. Well, it doesn't matter because you
can wear it.
Yeah, and there's like this fun IRS like court case where it's like, it was some type of like construction worker or something, and he wanted to write off his steel-toed boots. And so, like, literally in court, I'm like, now that I'm saying this, I'm like, was this a real story? It's a good example regardless.
Right.
But in court, they're like, asking him, they're like, is this suitable for everyday wear? And the guy's like, why wear it for work? And the judge is like, what shoes are you wearing right now? Oh. He was wearing steel-toed boots.
Right.
So it's not, so it's because
rookie.
It's because you
rookie
can
mistake.
Wear it. Yes. But then, like, think of other things like, could you technically wear nurses scrubs out? Yes. Would you? No. And so same with kind of OF creators, like, there are certain outfits or costumes that you would wear for filming content that you're not going to wear every day.
And I would assume that's something similar to like exotic dancers as well.
Yeah. It's not something you can wear out on the street.
Right.
So
I heard one time, that's how it always starts. My friend April, shout out to April.
It wasn't Paul?
No, for once it wasn't Paul. No, one of her friends is a dancer, and she would, when tax season came, it was always a struggle because she would do like, she would have her receipts from her nails and her hair and her eyelashes and her eyebrows. How is that like such a gray area? Like,
I personally don't consider it gray because, so anything to do, and actually the IRS has re-put out content around this. It's like their auditing entertainment guide is essentially what it's called. Like, you can look it up online. But anything that has to do with maintaining personal appearance is pretty much off the table because you get benefit from it outside.
Right.
Like, if I get my lashes done, unless I'm working 24/7 and no one else ever sees me, it can't. So a potential situation though where that could work is, I know there's like the Bunny Ranch in Vegas.
Yeah.
Those women will be on site for 2 straight weeks.
Right.
So if you get your lashes filled or nails done and you're on site like those 2 weeks before you get it done again, then that is probably would be a write-off in that situation.
That makes sense, which I had never thought about.
Yes.
With that. Wow.
And I guess with like my huge question was, I just feel like at this point, like it never really mattered how much I made or how much little I made. I really feel like in my life there are times where I should have consulted a tax professional for certain questions and things that I didn't know, because I feel like when a lot of us don't make, you know, we wouldn't consider that much money to need a tax professional. That we just kind of do our taxes online and go from there, when we could have had help, we could have had better advice, we could have had better, you know, tax things for us when turning in our taxes. So for people who are OF and in industries that are a little bit alike, when would you kind of advise them to start seeking counsel from a tax professional?
If you're self-employed, I say right away. Right away, because there's just going to be stuff you're going to miss otherwise. And I think, like, this is a tepid take of mine, that I think probably most small businesses, by small business, let me be more specific, solopreneurs, like these solo people who maybe have an LLC, but it's just them, they're the main income earner. I think they probably understate their expenses and not overstate, just because they don't actually understand everything they could take. And so it's like, you know, like I'll say my starting like minimum prep fee is $1,500. So it's like for someone who's making, you know, who would be that type of content creator, I could, you know, with consulting with me, I could find you probably at least that much in savings of tax to at least offset the cost.
Right.
I also tell people, like, if you have rental properties, 100% always get, because it's like, real estate accounting is its whole own beast. If you're getting income and like working in multiple states, then get a CPA. But if you're just like a W-2, there's not a lot we can do there.
Right.
But definitely self-employed individuals, just to make sure you're not missing out on deductions.
Well, thank goodness. Now we know that. Because when I started doing, you know, photography on the side, there's so many things that I didn't know, and that's when I realized I can't just go do my taxes by myself on H&R Block online anymore. I don't understand any of this, and I personally don't want to. Like, I would rather somebody else understand it and me just pass it over. Because I'm the type of person that's just like,
I don't know.
You can say this all day. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I say taxes break a part of people's brain. And it's not that they can't understand, it's they don't want to. And so it's our job just to anticipate that. Like, I'll see tax professionals complaining online about their clients, they do this every year, or they just don't understand. I'm like, they don't. They don't, and they won't ever, because they think about this once a year. And you think about this every day. Of course they're not going to understand. So it's like, just make sure you charge enough that you don't mind dealing with or not understanding.
Right, you compensate for that extra time you know you're going to have to spend with that.
Yeah, because you guys have spent the time and getting all of the education and being certified to know and understand these things every single year. If someone has a full-time job and kids so much going on, I mean, if you want to learn that and you want to know what's going on, you have to keep up with that just the same amount as I believe a professional would have to, in order to actually do the right things when you need to turn your taxes in.
And then it's that point, it's like, well, why don't you just become a tax preparer?
Right. No.
All right, if you love learning about this, maybe you're in the wrong profession and should become
right.
Maybe, because my thing is I'd rather just be like, here,
this is what you went to school for, this is your expertise. Who am I to say anything?
I'm no one.
Exactly.
And to be real, so are some of these people. Y'all need to stop giving people this tax advice. Why are y'all doing that? People do that all the time. They do that all the time.
So because I know we're on a small time crunch. So you are being featured at our New Money Summit with your session called "Content is King, Queen." And I know
we'll have to edit.
We're gonna edit that.
Is queen.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on and why people should come to it?
So it's kind of the who, what, when, where, why of content creation and strategy, because I'm impatient and I don't like to waste my time. And so it's all the kind of tips and tricks I've learned throughout the year to become very efficient with content creation, because if I wanted to do content creation full time, I'd be a content creator. Right. I don't want to do it. I want to do it the least amount as possible for the biggest payoff. And so it's just kind of a master class, if you will, and like me walking you through everything I've learned through that journey, just literally through trial and error. I'm not like some marketing expert. Like, I'm not going to go work for a company and do this, but it's like, this is what I've tried. This is what doesn't work. These are the mistakes I've made, and this is what I know works.
No, that's great. Sorry, I was gonna ask
I'm full ASMR. You're gonna have to get it in here in this.
No, that's awesome. And what are you looking forward the most to being at New Money?
I am looking forward to meeting some of my online friends I haven't met yet in person. That's what I'm most looking forward to, because it's like, I forget there's so many people on text Twitter. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I've met everyone. And it's like I start hearing like some of the names of these speakers. I'm like, oh, I haven't met them. Oh, I haven't met them. So I'm excited to get to know some of those people in real life.
Yes, I think that it's going to be such a great networking opportunity for all of you as well. We have so many different industry leaders coming in. We've got that entrepreneurs, we have business, we have attorneys.
We have us.
We have attorneys.
Yes.
Fight them.
You heard it here, folks. Yeah.
We said pitch competition, we said fighting ring.
Slap boxing competition. Next year, we're doing it. But yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today. If you want to see the most amazing Laura Lynn, you want to see Laura Lynn, she's the best in the whole world. If you want to see her, come to New Money Summit. If you want to see us, if you want a flamingo, you better be there.
Where do you swear?
Flamingo. That's cute.
Our soirees.
So we're logging out, and as we say, I've never said this before on a podcast, as we say, if you don't know what you're talking about,
neither do we.
Move in silence.
Move in silence.
TaxSnax is brought to you by non-tax experts just like you.
So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch us next week where we'll be eating more food, talking to more experts, and where we'll decide, should I buy a polar bear?
Why would you do that?
Because they're cute and cuddly.
Well, in the meantime, make sure you take no tax advice from fake tax experts online.
Or us, unless it's in this podcast.